And now coming to the fourth stanza. When the proud steed shall know why man restrains his fiery course or drives him over the plains. When the dull ox, why now he breaks the clod. Clod is the earth, the lump of earth or the clay, is now a victim. See, here in the introduction I told you that all the creations of God is perfect in its own way. God has a divine plan, a sacred design, where each and every one of us is given a specific role. Even the animals are made according to His plan. See, the same God created horse and He has created ox also. But when He created horse, He had given great intelligence to the horse. Because God has a specific plan in everything. He knows that horse, in order to do its work, needs intelligence. But when He created ox also is a very perfect animal. There He had decided what should be the work that should be given to the ox. And for that, what level of intelligence is needed, that also God knows. And so He created ox as less intelligent or dull. But both of them are perfect creations of God. See, and so remember, each and every one of us should be happy about how he is created or she is created. We should be happy about our shape, our size, our level of intelligence. We should be happy about the place in which we live. Always think that we are moving according to the providential plan. Then, when the proud steed means horse, shall know why man restrains, controls his fiery course. See, the horse, the intelligent horse will be running very fast and the man controls him. And the horse which runs over the plains is controlled by man, but very intelligent it is. When the dull ox, why now he breaks the clod, is now a victim. And the ox which is there to work in our fields is not very intelligent as the horse, but it is a perfect creation of God. It is given the level of intelligence that is needed for him to do the work in the fields. And now Egypt's God, then shall man's pride and dullness comprehend his actions, passions, beings, use and end. And so God has created the horse and the ox according to his plan. Horse is very intelligent and ox is less intelligent to work on the field. And then see, is now a victim and now Egypt's God. Then here there is a biblical reference. The reference to Joseph in the Bible. In the Bible, the character Joseph is ill-treated by his brothers, made a slave. And he was sold. But later he becomes the ruler of Egypt. And Joseph saves his brothers. Okay? And so we don't know. See, our vision is limited. We don't know what happens to us tomorrow. That is, even if the brothers of Joseph tried to make him a slave, God has decided that he should become the king of Egypt. And somehow or other, Joseph became the ruler of Egypt. Then shall man's pride and dullness comprehend, understand his actions, passions, beings, use and end. Man, dull and stupid we are. We don't know. When we criticize God, we behave stupid. We are stupid because we cannot understand the divine plan. But always remember that we are created by the perfect God, and He had a definite plan about us. And we should be happy according to our position. And then God is there to guide us, and God will decide what should happen to us tomorrow. We cannot decide anything for ourselves. We all move according to the divine plan. The biblical character Joseph, he is made a slave by his own brothers. But God has a plan in His mind. God had decided that Joseph should be the king of Egypt, and so he became the king of Egypt. And so nobody can hinder the plans of God. God is there to protect us, and we have to move according to His divine plan. Then why doing suffering checked impelled, and why this hour a slave, and next a deity God? And so one moment Joseph was a slave, later he became like a God. And when God gives us misfortunes, sufferings, we should not blame God. We should not ask Him, why you have given me this much of suffering? I cannot suffer it. It is beyond my endurance. No, God knows your level of endurance. And He will give you the burden that you are able to bear on your shoulders. And so, even if you are made a slave, God can make you a god or a king the next minute. And so rely on the divine providence. And so this is an important stanza. Here again he says that God has created everything according to His divine plan. Horse is made very intelligent because it has to perform duties like that. Ox is made less intelligent because its duty is to work in the fields. Both of them are perfect creations. And then he says that he comments on the biblical character of Joseph, where Joseph is made a slave by his brothers, but later he becomes the king of Egypt. And so Joseph has to suffer initially, but he never complained to God. He was ready to act according to His divine plan. He never grumbled against God, and God has made him the king of Egypt. And so remember, even if this moment you are a slave, the next minute you can be made even a god, or you can be made the king. And so you cannot question God. You cannot ask Him why He has given you sufferings. When He gives us burdens, He will give you only that amount of burden which we are able to bear. And we have to leave everything to the divine providence. And God is there to protect us. And then coming to the last stanza. Then say, not man is imperfect, heaven is in fault. And don't say that man is imperfect. No. Why? Because we are created by the most perfect God. And He won't go wrong. And so all His creations are excellent, perfect. Heaven is in fault. Some people, when they have to suffer some misfortunes, they will be grumbling. Oh, God is blind and deaf. He cannot hear my sufferings. Say rather, man is as perfect as he ought, as God wanted him to be. Every person, you and me, we are perfect because we are created by the most perfect God. And We are in this size and shape because God wants us to be in this position. We are perfect as God wants us to be. His knowledge measured to his state and place. Man is given certain knowledge to suit his place and position. Understood? And see, man is made according to the divine plan, and man is given the knowledge that is needed for his position. His time, a moment, and a point, his space. He is given the time to live. He has given us a particular place to live. See, God has decided that we should be alive in 2021. That is why we are alive today. If He takes away His living breath, we will be as good as dead. Understood? And so, God has decided that we should live at this particular time. And God has decided that we should live in this place. God has decided that I should teach in Sacred Heart College and you should be the students of Sacred Heart College. It is all the divine plan. You may be thinking, or you may have thought earlier, that you have decided, you planned to join this institution. No, it is all the part of the divine plan. See, I am made a teacher here and you are made a student here, all according to the providential plan. And so God has given us a time to live and a place to live. If to be perfect in a certain sphere, what matter if he is perfect here, soon or late, or here or there? What is the meaning? If he is perfect, what does it matter? Whether it is past or present, or whether he is here or there. And so everything is perfect. We are here, it is the perfect plan. We are alive now, it's again a perfect plan. And so we are perfect. If God is perfect, what does it matter? Whether we are living here or anywhere else. Then the blessed today, people of today, is as completely so as you began 1,000 years ago. People of today are blessed as the people who lived here thousands of years back. See, sometimes we think that, we are all very happy and comfortable, but 100 years back, 1,000 years back, people were suffering here. No. The people who lived here 1,000 years back were as happy as we are here, today. Sometimes we think that, we are living here in this age. First of all, we have to suffer the atrocities of the climatic conditions. There was flood for 1 or 2 years. Consecutive years, we have to suffer flood. And then the COVID, nearly for 1 year, we are suffering because of this pandemic. And so we are all cursing God. Some people are cursing God. People who lived here some years back, they needn't have to suffer all these things. We poor people, we have to suffer all these problems. We cannot move out of the house. We are afraid of this dreadful disease, COVID. Isn't it? No. We are as happy as the people here who lived here years back. That is, if God has decided everything, even this COVID phase, it is the decision of God. It is the plan of God. And so God knows. We needn't be worried about it. God knows. Without His knowledge, nothing will happen. If He had put this pandemic here, in this point of time, He will save us from this pandemic. Okay? And so, without His blessing, without His grace, we cannot even survive even for a second. And so don't be over worried about ourselves. Because we have to submit ourselves to the will of God. The rest follows successfully. And so what should we do? We have to submit to the will of God. and we have to move according to his divine plan, and everything will be fine. Clear? And so, see the last stanza once again. Then say not man is imperfect, heaven is in fault. Say rather man is as perfect as he ought. And so, man, God is perfect, and so his creation also is perfect, and we are perfect as God wanted us to be. His knowledge measured to his state and place. A man is given a certain knowledge to suit his place and position. His time a moment and a point his space. We are given the time to live and a particular place to live. God has decided that we should live in this place, we should work in this place, everything he had decided. And if to be perfect in a certain sphere, what matters sooner or later or here or there. In this earth, we have a perfect position. We don't know what happens in the other part of the world. Here we have a supreme position. The blessed today is as completely so as who began 1,000 years ago. People of today are as blessed as the people who lived here thousands of years back. And so from the time of creation onwards, our God is the creator, and he is there to protect us, and he knows how to protect us also. We should not be over worried about ourselves. We have to submit ourselves to the will of God. We cannot question him. We have to move according to the providential plan of God. Then everything will be fine. Nothing happens without his knowledge. And so submit to his will and be a part of his divine plan, and everything will be safe. And so through this philosophical poem, Pope Alexander Pope explains the ways of God to man. And he also tells us that nothing will happen without his knowledge. And he is perfect, and so we are all perfect. All his creations are perfect according to his plan. And we needn't have to grumble about ourselves. We needn't be worried about ourselves, our level of intelligence, our size, our shape. Everything is according to his divine plan. And so here ends the poem. Hope you all have understood the poem and that you have enjoyed it. And you have understood the philosophy in the poem. And so much for the day. We wind up. Thank you.